evening. It's another Friday. You're welcome to the most authoritative fact-checking show, Facts of the Week. We separate the facts from propaganda and the lies. My name is Valentina Ofori Afriyie. It's a pleasure to be with you from now until 7:30. Facts of the Week is supported by Fairnut. Wood is for life. Great furniture is made by Fairnut. They've provided this beautiful set for us. And also supported by the best natural mineral water. That's Aquaba natural mineral water, quenching thirsts and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, refreshing Aquaba natural mineral water. We are live on Ghana's #1 CTV, live on Facebook, my CTV GH. You're welcome. From now until 7:30, my guest and I are going to let you know what the truth is, what the problem is, and what the facts are in some of the things that have been making waves over the past weeks. You've heard this betting tax. The government didn't implement it, so the government cannot say they are cancelling betting tax. I know, you are an investor. You've played bets for years now. Did you pay betting tax? What are the facts? What is the truth? What is the propaganda in it? We will tell you. And is it true that the Mahama government has appointed over 100 presidential staffers or ministers, more than the Akufo-Addo government? Stay tuned. We'll tell you all the answers tonight here on Facts of the Week. Welcome. The show is interactive. You can post your comments on my CTV GH on Facebook, and then we'll read it to you better in communication with us on the WhatsApp number 020-066-8486. I have two great gentlemen here with me to do the fact-checking. We'll tell you the propaganda, we'll tell you the lie, and we'll tell you what the truth is. On my right is Ivan Che Innocent, social commentator, fantastic guy. He knows how to fact-check just by a click of finger. Good evening, Ivan. Great to have you.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
And then on my left, Dr. Desmond Kofi Annan. He's a broadcast journalist, he's a communicator, he's a doctor, he's a researcher, he's everything. Doc, good to have you tonight.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
I hope everything is okay.
We're good. We're good.
So let's just zoom in right away. You are home, you're watching us. Maybe you are in your office on Facebook. I want to also hear from you your experience. So we're in this country, the 2025 budget was read by Finance Minister Dr. Kezelato Forson. And then he made that announcement that, Mr. Speaker, we are going to abolish betting tax, 10% winning and all bets. And that's where this whole hullabaloo about we didn't implement betting tax started.
Honorable Speaker, despite our commitment to increase the non-oil tax rate by 0.6%, we have programmed the following nuisance taxes for removal in line with our manifesto promise. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winning from lottery, otherwise known as the betting tax. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy, of 1%. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on betting. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy, e-levy, of 1%. We will abolish the emission levy, otherwise as in Wusie tax. We will abolish the VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 1.5% withholding tax on processed goods by small-scale miners.
So I had the Finance Minister, Dr. Kezelato Forson. So after that, the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, addressed the press, parliamentary press corps. He was very emphatic that the NPP never implemented betting tax. And that is where everywhere went haywire. Ivan, did they really not implement betting tax?
Good evening. Let me say good evening to you and your viewers. I think we've all been around and we know the facts and we know the numbers as well. This whole betting thing, if you look at the 2023, the income tax was amended. That legislation, that is Act 1094, was amended, and under it, a very complex tax regime called gaming and betting tax was introduced. Under that particular tax regime, there were in three. Okay. First, we have the GGR, that is the gross gaming revenue. That was imposed on betting companies, those corporate entities. Yes, that is 20%. And then the other component is the withholding 10% on bet winnings. The other last component is the lottery one. That was not implemented because there was a problem. Actually, if you look at that particular arena, it's some way or the other, it's not well structured, it's not well formalized, because there are some who operate under Ghana Lottery Authority, and there are a vast majority of these corporations that are operating on their own, called those banker to banker. So it makes it very difficult to attack those who are under the formalized structure, because at the end of the day, customers will run away from where those taxes were going to be implemented, and they will go into the private space. Yes. So because of that difficulty, government could not implement the third leg of this whole complex tax regime. So for a former finance minister who is privy to some of these facts, for at the time he was making that particular, he knew, he was privy to the fact, to go and tell Ghanaians that we didn't actually implement the betting tax. For me, he was just seeking some kind of equivalence, because you see, in our politics, some of these things buy comfort, because there has been a lot of bashing in the previous administration. There is a new government that has taken over. The praises were all over. So it's something that has to be done just to tell the skills, so that people will say, hey, this is actually what happened. But the reality is that that particular bet was actually implemented. And there are figures that we can attach. If you go back to 2023, May, when it was implemented, I think we generated 53.1 million, and then the following year it generated 147. That is the betting tax alone. The entire complex tax gave us 495 million. So clearly there is a clear evidence out there to justify that indeed that particular betting tax was implemented. But this whole thing, I'm not sure you're surprised, because this is the version of politics that we do here. They do some of these things to just for political expediency. But unfortunate thing is, we live in a different political arena altogether. Those gone are the days people could just say anything at the political space and get away with it. But now people are becoming quite enlightened. You saw the boom that went on social media when he made those comments, because people are living the reality. So you cannot just take the opportunity because you have the platform, just speak anything for political expediency. That will not fly. So for me, he knew what he was saying. It was deliberate, a well-calculated scheme just to sway the public. But unfortunately, like I told you, now people are well enlightened. Some of these things cannot go without reaction. And that is the reaction you saw, because those who have been living the reality, those who have been paying, and over the years have been complaining, because it's one of the major things. There is this moral argument surrounding betting as to whether it is okay or not. You see, it's some kind of a detour for people. If you look at the economic challenges that young people are in this country, and considering the heightening and the growing unemployment situation that we have, this betting whole thing has become some kind of a refuge where young people just get in just to recoup something. Just
so someone gives them just 5 cedis and they want to bet and then make some money.
And the funny aspect of it all is that when you bet and you lose, you don't get anything. But when you win, then that's when the government wants to come. It doesn't even make sense. So for me, I think what he did, he knew what he was doing. But some of these things, I think we need to move from this particular arena where we can just spew anything just for political expediency. We need to build a conversation that will inspire people and engender some sense of trust in those who occupy higher offices in this country. Else, if you continue to dabble in this kind of misinformation and disinformation campaign, or to harness the political capital, the kind of gain we get I'm not sure we'll move anywhere. So we need to begin to do constructive politics where people will engage and will be able to elicit from the general public some kind of this thing that will help us to build this country. But this kind of propaganda on this arena, trust me, it will fall. The social media alone is a big platform just to crumble this whole propaganda machinery if you set it in motion. I have seen a lot of desperate attempts. He has come back on several occasions seeking to justify
what he said or even further explain it.
But the explanation is not picking up, you understand, because people are quite aware. They're like, if you go back to 2020, or maybe if we are to wind time to go back to, he could have gone away with this thing, because at that time, people were not quite so much enthused with politics. Politics was seen as a reserved area for few enlightened people. But now, everybody is interested. Every Ghanaian has a vested interest in politics and leadership in this country. So they are following everything keenly. So whenever you want to make any public utterance out there, you need to check your facts, because political communication is very, very essential. Every keyword you mention has its own meaning. So to be specific and say betting tax, he could have said, oh, the taxes on lotteries, because we know the third leg was not implemented. But betting tax, and that is the most controversial component of this whole entire tax regime. So for me, he knew what he was saying. It was just propaganda, and for me, it's good. It has just fallen apart. And
in case you didn't watch the former finance minister, or you've forgotten what he actually said, listen to Dr. Amin Adam.
Ladies and gentlemen, betting tax that they say they have abolished. We never collected betting tax. We never implement the betting tax. So to come and tell Ghanaians that you have abolished something that was not implemented, it is to deceive the people of Ghana.
And you see the number of people who are behind him.
That is actually the part I was going to make.
I saw Dr. Gideon Boako.
Yes.
I saw the former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. She was nodding.
Yes.
And these were people who were on Dr. Baumia's campaign.
Yes.
When Dr. Baumia himself said he was going to abolish betting tax if he becomes president.
Yes. And you see, in politics and leadership, one thing that is key is integrity. And if you look at some of these things like this, clearly it tells you that we are lost when it comes to some of these basic tenets that are required from leaders. Because people behind him, they were privy to the fact, they knew at the time.
And here is it, no betting tax on the screen. So if the thing was not collected, why will the flag bearer of the NPP for the 2024 election, who was a sitting vice president, promise that he's going to cancel betting tax?
But do you fix it when it's not broken?
Yes.
If the thing is not there, why then do you say
So it's all part of the larger propaganda machinery for me. And for me, sometimes I feel very sad. But where we are, I was looking at the situation. If you look at how this election, the whole thing came about, and the kind of reaction and how Ghanaians got interested, I've always been preaching that we need to change the political narrative. We need to move from one stage to another, because now you could see clearly that the road is straightened. Everybody is
everybody eye clear.
Yes. Even the people we used to describe as the illiterate, those who didn't have the opportunity to go to school, now they have keen interest because of social media stuff.
Exactly.
They follow
those who are even the non-aligned are now aligned. Because
churches everywhere. So I think we should be guided in our communication and begin to realize that we are not speaking to some gullible folks who cheer us and sing hallelujah choruses whenever we even veer from the fact. Now you have vibrant young people on social media, and the bad thing is that they're in. So if you venture into those arena without facts, trust me, they will devour you, and that is exactly what has been given to him.
Doc.
Oh wow. You know, I wish your producers would have even you see the picture they showed with the placard. We need to see who was handling that card. I don't know whether it maybe those at home have seen it. Me, I've not seen it, but I wish they could show the picture so that we all see Miracle holding. It was Miracle actually holding that placard. I'm saying that if it is not broken, you don't fix it. So and it does it not intrigue you that every step of the campaign, when Mr. Mahama makes a comment about his vision, or he drops a policy idea or whatever, and these guys were either probably think that they were implementing it, or they had an idea of going to implement it. What do they? They come attacking it. Did you hear them, even for once, mention that indeed betting tax was not in motion? They were not collecting betting tax, and so President Mr. Mahama at the time should not even talk about the fact that when he comes, he was going to cancel betting tax.
No,
there's no evidence to that. But let me shock you. I took pains to go to the website of
Ghana Revenue Authority.
Exactly.
And those who collected the tax.
Yes. And please, our viewers should understand that when we talk about Ghana Revenue Authority, they are in charge of these mobilizations. They have it on their website, and it's still there. Anybody that is watching and is keen on knowing the truth once and for all can join us on this what do you call it, on
fact
this venture.
checking.
Yes, I mean in 2023 they collected as much as 51,489,838.77 pesos. In 2024, in the election year, they collected as much as 156,754,274 Ghana cedis, 46 pesos. And so in these 2 years, they had collected an amount of
betting tax.
From betting tax. It is there. They have stated it, betting tax. But you see, once again, politicians must credit us with some little sense. Let me say so. Because you can't look
intelligence.
I mean, kind of sense. When you look at Innocent and you look at his face and tell him that we didn't collect betting tax. I mean, how? When you see they were trying to do something, maybe we were not noticing. They wanted to hide behind some technical words and semantics.
Like,
for example, you see, when they were making that issue about the fact that they did not collect betting tax, they were coming from the act. You see, when they amended the income tax in 2023, there's a portion, and I have indicated here. It says there's a portion that's the most interesting part. It says introduce a withholding tax rate on the realization of assets and liabilities on the winnings from lottery. So the thing they sought to do was to hide behind the lottery thing you were talking about. But when you go further to the act, the act defines what the lottery is, or the lottery is. Okay, so you go to section 6 of the act, 896, as amended. It defines what the lottery is.
So what is the lottery?
Okay, so this is what the definition per the act is. Section 133 defines the word lottery in the act. It says lottery means a scheme whereby rights are sold to take part in a draw by lot of a prize, including betting, gaming, and any game of chance.
So betting,
yes. So it goes further, even in that same document, it goes further to now list what it really means by betting and all those things, like lotteries. It says for the purpose of this practice, note lottery operations include 1. Sports betting. 2. Casinos, route operations, a lot of them, including this our banker to banker and all that. So that was what they were trying to do. They thought that Ghanaians were all gullible. You know, so that is why, I mean, it hurts me that some of our politicians are so disingenuous. Just say, they will not even, they can even look at the Ghanaian people after going through this embarrassing situation in an election. You think that we are still gullible to the extent that you mount a political platform and still tell us some of these things. Don't forget that just after that declaration, some of his people, you heard Honorable Patrick Boama explaining and trying to apologize on his behalf.
A slip of tongue.
Yes. And Patrick Boama is not just any. Patrick Boama is part of the finance committee. In fact, he was a deputy chair or something like that.
He became the chair when Kweku Kwatin moved.
Yes, and that could have settled the issue. Just apologize and move on. For me, that should have ended the issue, because you could have said, slip of tongue, because the fact are that people are privy to it, so you don't need to just run around this using these tactics just to run around it. So just apologize, say I made a mistake.
That's all.
I meant the lotteries, and that was not implemented. Then we move on.
Exactly. And then you just come and say this and throw this thing in the air. Maybe one of the political, maybe they just wanted to pull the Ghanaian mentality or the Ghanaian appreciation of the budget to another discussion where we'll be interested in talking about. Of course, when he brought this up, we are talking about it. We are not really focusing on the intricacies of the budget.
I'll let you drink water, not just water, but Aquaba natural mineral water, quenching thirsts and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, refreshing Aquaba natural mineral water. They're proud to be supporting Facts of the Week. Whilst you're drinking water, I'll just have to also draw your attention to a statement that was made by Dr. Gideon Buako. That's why I said, you look behind the former finance minister when he was addressing the press. Dr. Gideon Buako, I remember on the 14th of January 2025, stating when Dr. Atoforsen had given an indication that in the 2025 budget, they were going to abolish betting tax. He said that would be against the IMF conditionalities. He stated that it was part of the IMF program, because if you're going to IMF, you should tell them how you intend to raise funds.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, yes. And they put the e-levy there. The e-levy that people said was like Akobam could solve all the diseases, creating 100 million jobs. He said it was going to breach IMF program.
Yes.
And that is on our screens.
Yes.
So how then do you come and turn around? Tell us that you didn't even collect the betting tax. When you said abolishing it was going to breach the IMF program.
I think they sought to nullify the traction that this whole removal thing got. Because you see, there was this discussion within even the economic space that we have a deal with IMF. And IMF conditionalities come with some of these taxes just to ensure revenue goes up. Then this is a government that is taking over and is promising people that the IMF program, they were going to remove these taxes. So the question is, where are you going to make this money from? And surprisingly, Atoforsen came out with a huge package, and it was this realignment and capping kind of stuff. For instance, this Revenue Administrative Act that caps 6% of all revenue.
Yes.
Between 2017 and 2024, we had about 26 to 28 billion sitting in that particular account, which 43% was used whichever way to reimburse those who pay taxes. But the rest of the money was misused. So the gentleman sat down and realized that, come on, this particular revenue stream can be of good use for us. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut 2% from it, and the 2% is going to give us 3.8 billion.
More than what we are taking from
more than what the betting tax and the e-levy is giving us. So the ingenuity and the finesse with which this particular thing was pulled came with a bit of surprise. And people were commending. I listened to a lot of economists who were praising the finance minister. So you see, our politics is about, wounding your enemy. So I think looking at the traction, they needed to do something just to take the shine away. And this is what brought about this whole thing. So at the end of the day, the traction that this whole thing was supposed to attract, the whole this thing turned into
to them
the comment that the finance minister the former finance minister did. And so if you understand politics clearly, you know this is a calculated kind of scheme that was contrived just to ensure that they take the credit away from this whole thing. For me, if you look at the way and manner he went about with this capping and realignment, it's one of the best, because in the past all the monies were going into the central pool and they were misusing the money. For instance, look at how he uncapped the Get Fund. NHIL.
Yes.
Even the Get Fund itself had we had collateralized it for a loan. The Dachi Fund, he removed it and then absorb the debt and then uncap it, generating for extra 4.1 billion, which is going to be the guaranteed source of funding for the free SHS. And for me, some of these things is what generated the kind of the traction that we got. So these things were just slot in just to disrupt everything. So I'm not surprised that reaffirms the kind of policies that we do here. And I think we need to.
So, I mean, it's clear from the evidence we've given you that it is not true that the NPP government elect betting tax. It is a lie. It's propaganda just to deceive Ghanaians. We have fact-checked The documents, the figures are clear. Just like Dr. Desmond Anand said, we have received millions from betting tax from 2023. So if Dr. Amin says that they didn't implement it, it is not true. It's a lie. This is Fact of the Week. Ghana's #1 CTV. We are live on my CTV. GH on Facebook. You can stay interactive on the WhatsApp number 020-066-8486. And Fact of the Week is supported by Fairnut. Wood is for life. Great furniture is made by Fairnut, and also by Aquaba Natural Mineral Water, quenching thirst and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, refreshing Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. My able guest, social commentator Ivan Che Innocent, and Dr. Desmond Kofi Annan, broadcast journalist. So we are moving into our second topic. That's very interesting. On this same 2025 budget, this budget is making things happen. President Mahama talks about saving Ghanaians money, that he has a lean government. He's cut ministries, realigned ministries and all that. He's made some appointments, and that it is not true, according to the former Minister for Land and Natural Resources. But let's listen to John Mahama when he promised that he was going to cut the number of ministers. You remember President Akufo-Addo is 123, moved to 8 something now. John Mahama said he was going to make ministers 60.
We shall assemble and operate the leanest but most efficient government under the history of our Fourth Republic. We will reduce significantly the size of government. And as announced in my speech at the UPSA late last year, in a crisis situation like this, it is my belief that this country can be governed efficiently with 60 ministers and deputy ministers.
So that's candidate Mahama at that time. President Mahama says that. And in the budget, during the debate on the floor of Parliament, the former Minister for Lands, Sami Junapo, says Mahama has over 100 staffers.
Address one very important matter, which is the question of the size of. When he addressed this House, made the claim that he had formed the leanest and most effective government in the history of our country. Presidential advisor and special aide to the president, presidential advisor on national anti-corruption program, presidential advisor on diaspora affairs. Mr. Speaker, he goes on to appoint presidential advisor, presidential staffer, and special aide to the vice president, presidential staffer for Black Star Experience, and then presidential staffer for diaspora affairs. Mr. Speaker, I've done the mathematics that I want to submit, and I do this not from a partisan lens, but I do this as somebody who had the privilege and honor to serve as Deputy Chief of Staff. I know how it works. In terms of the cost on the national exchequer, the President has appointed 100 ministers and deputy ministers.
That's Sami Junapo. He says he's doing this not on the lens of politics, but somebody who used to be a Deputy Chief of Staff, and he knows it. John Mahama has 100 ministers and deputy ministers. Ivan.
I think Parliament is supposed to be a serious arena for transacting serious business of the state. But in recent time, it looks as if the place is virtually being transformed into some kind of a comic arena.
Is it?
Yes, because if you look at things that has been happening within the house, it's a bit worrying if you're a Ghanaian watching this whole thing from a distance, because you expect that the house will demonstrate nothing but issues of fact. Fact that is based on the records available. Look at the way he was presenting them. Clearly you could see that it was just an extension of political party campaign. Very often we see on platforms, you shout and people will yell, and that is exactly what is happening.
Really?
Yes. Prior to the election, one of the major concerns Ghanaians have was the size of government. Akufo-Addo promised us that because their work was huge, he needed
and he was in
government. But in modern governance, you don't need a crowd. You need efficiency. You can multitask people to do different things at the same time. So that is the standard thing that everybody's moving along. But he defied that particular theory and decided to go with a crowd. At the end of the day, Ghanaians didn't see much of any essence that came out of that. So they started questioning. And if you look at the expenditure we were throwing around, financing this whole government machinery, and looking at the output, they didn't match. There was this disconnect. The Ghanaian raised concern about the size of government. It is at that point that Mahama came in and promised the people that I will listen to your concerns. I will cut down the size of government. And when he won, that is the first thing that he did. And for me, you can give credit. You can decide not to, but you do not have to spend propaganda and those kind of things just for whatever equivalence, like as a false equivalence, just to buy comfort for yourself because you think we are doing cheap politics. No, the fact that he has cut down the size of government. The ministries, some have been removed. As we speak, we have about how many ministers?
23.
23. Then we have 60 ministers. And these are the facts. You can argue, when the budget was presented, there were this whole noise about the expenditure within government. That's the government machinery, the amount of money.
That's the
yes, but what they forget to add is that if you look at some of the previous ministries, they had their own civil servants. So the mere fact that the ministries have been collapsed doesn't mean the civil servants
have been sacked.
Exactly. For instance, if you go to information ministry, they had several agencies.
Yes.
Ghana Broadcasting Corporation is them. Ghana News Agency, Ghana Information Service.
Department.
Yes, and then this corporation, I don't know, they are. There is several other corporations. They have about 2,300 workers who are civil servants under the Ministry of Information. So now the ministry has been disbanded. What do? You can't trust these people away. You need to find somewhere. And because this is a new government, and there is a way to realign. They didn't have time to put some of these individuals under some of the appropriate ministry they are supposed to be. So they all came under the Office of Government Machinery for the time being.
So and distributed
later.
Okay.
So the allocation is to some of these areas. And again, if you go to national security used to have a whole ministry.
Yes.
And now there is no national security ministry. If you go to national security, there are several departments within. And these people have not been, they are all working. National security, those who do investigations, those who are in charge of our external espionage or spy activities, all these people are still working for government. So these people have been brought under the Office of Government Machinery for the time being.
Okay.
So later, government will find a way to assign them to various ministries. Some have been sent to SIGA, and in the future, I'm sure some will also. So when you are presenting the fact, I think you need to delve deeper and present all these things just for people to understand.
And that's why we have that on the screen, the substantive ministers. 23, the breakdown ministers of state are 4,
yes.
The regional ministers are 16,
yes.
And deputy ministers are 30.
Yes. So as a smart person, the first question you should be asking yourselves is that it used to be 30 ministries. Now we have 23. The 7 had civil servants working under them.
Yes.
Where are they? Because at the end of the day, they will be paid. And these things are done for budgetary purposes. It's not as if somebody is going to put monies in the bag, send it to the presidency to be chopped. These people will be paid by the Controller and Accountant General.
And they have to verify them before they pay.
Exactly. So for me, some of these things, the propaganda, you see, I've always been advocating that in this whole political enterprise, we have to be very vigilant, very critical, and very vocal, whatever that happens. But you see, you need to do that with some sense of finesse. You don't do it because we are in opposition, we are just saying anything. At some point in time, if you are not careful, you lose credibility. And people will not take you serious. And that is the arena the MPP is venturing. Don't forget, this is a political party that caused a lot of harm to the people of this country. There is still anger, there is this still sense of this within people. So I am expecting that they will approach Ghanaians with some sense of
decorum and respect.
The language, the tone, everything should be a bit moderate so that you win the love back. Because as you speak, there are a lot of people who are peeved. And you may be saying something sensible, but because of the tone and the way you go about, people will not take you serious. I think they need to relax and then take the issues where they are supposed to take them, drop them when they are supposed to drop them. It cannot be business as usual. Like I told you, you are dealing with an enlightened class of young people who are they are interested, they follow social media, they know issues that are going on. So when you begin to will not follow you. And for me, that's my worry. And I have the latest from the Information Service Department website. It's isd.gov.gh. Yes. They have done a flyer. Okay. They say President Mahama significantly cut ministries and presidential staff. Ministries 30, that's under NPP. Yes. Now it's 23. Yes. Presidential staffers under NPP 336. Under NDC is 30. Yes. That's according to the Information Service Department. Yes, and if we are to go by the official records out there, that is the truth, because those who have been named presidential staffers officially, they come through the office of the Minister of Communication at the presidency, and they are 30. Nowhere near. Yes, you need supporting. Yes, you need supporting and auxiliary staff to help you, but I'm not sure these numbers will get closer anywhere to the numbers you used to have, because you see, Ghanaians are following, and this is the promise that has been made. They expect that the government will pull that particular promise, and anything contrary to this, you will be on the other side of the people. And I think that is exactly what the MPP is pushing, so that Ghanaians will be angry. Exactly. That is the strategy. And I'm saying that some of these things will not fly at this time. You see, you can do propaganda in some of these things, but you need to be very tactical, have to be very reasonable how to pull it. So that whenever you're pulling propaganda, make sure you have your back against the wall, so that you don't get exposed. But if you get exposed at the early stages like this, people will not take you serious. It's the reason why this whole betting tax got exposed early, and this thing is coming again. I'm not sure it's nice for our politics, because young people are learning. Yes. Don't forget that whatever that is happening on the political arena, either nasty, appropriate, or whatever, there are young people assuming what is happening, and that is what is going to shape their political career, what is going to inform them. If we continue to feed them with some kind of things like this, they will grow to become their own replica, and Ghana will never move anywhere. Doc.
Wow.
So that's the Information Service Department statistics.
It's pathetic. I mean, some of these things, it hurts me. It hurts me seriously that you would have, and Parliament is a house of records. You see, that's where my problem is. It's a house of record. You have the opportunity. Mr. Speaker has invited you to speak. Then you get up and then you say all these things and get away with it. That's why I don't think
he got away with it, because the minister in charge of government communication, Felix Kachifosu.
Yeah, he tried to explain, but I'm saying that why should he even say it at all when you know you are doing propaganda? You left government less than 60 days or 70 days ago, and you still want to engage in some of these things. As far as we know, and the Ghanaian people know, President Mahama is even, in fact, somebody was asking me that, because the man has so far appointed 56. He promised 60. He's done 56 now. We don't even know whether the 4 will even come to make the 60 to date. So what are we saying? Please, let's
watch Felix Kachifosu.
President Mahama made a firm commitment that he was going to cut down on the size of government. He put a specific number to the ministers that he will be appointing. Everybody heard him say he will appoint 60 ministers. That is including deputy ministers. He also made it clear that he was going to cut down on the number of political appointees at the office of the president. Now, regarding ministers, he has done exactly as he promised. As I speak, he has made a total of 56 nominations for ministerial positions. All the ministers of state have been approved and passed by Parliament and have been sworn into office and are working, including my good self. There are deputy ministerial nominations currently before Parliament, and all of them have gone through vetting. We expect that they will be passed or approved by Parliament in the next few days, after which they will be sworn into office. There are 4 outstanding deputy ministerial nominations that His Excellency will be making, and as and when he makes them, we will make it known to the people of Ghana.
Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachifusu. From the evidence we've given you, you know that it's not true that President Mahama has appointed over 100 ministers. The ministers, just like Dr. Desmond Kofi Annan said, we still don't have the 4 outstanding deputy ministers. Their names are not yet in. So as we speak, we have 56 ministers. And presidential staff has named so far 30. So don't fall for the propaganda. That is why you have to watch Fact of the Week every Friday from 6:30 to 7:30 on Ghana's #1 CTV, supported by Akwaba Natural Mineral Water, quenching thirsts and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, refreshing Akwaba Natural Mineral Water. And also, Fernat Wood is for life. Great furniture is made by Fernat. In case you missed from beginning, make a date, Saturday, 11:30, Ghana's #1 CTV. We'll be back shortly.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernat Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernat Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden product that will last a lifetime. With Fernat Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernat, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernat Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernat.
Welcome back to Facts of the Week, the only authoritative show that tells you the facts from propaganda, the lies and the machinations. Let's read some of your messages that have already come through our WhatsApp number 020-066-8486 and also on Facebook, my CTVGH. Doc, let's go through the messages.
Val, some of the messages on Facebook, Daniel Edu is here, saying that good evening, watching you live inside Doha, Qatar. Brilliant submissions by all standards. Keep it up, guys. One for you there. Mohammed Faruddin Gadir is saying, are you broadcasting the game? Hey.
Yeah,
we'll broadcast, don't worry.
We'll broadcast after this, don't worry.
And this one is coming from Duncan Annan. Duncan, you're not being fair to us, right?
What
I don't
is
think
it?
He says, are you people serious at all? Broadcast the match and stop what you are showing.
Don't worry, the match will come after this.
Right,
We have to tell you what the truth and the propaganda and facts are.
Yeah, let me do some 2 messages and then we'll come back. For this, our text message. It says, good evening. I love your team. They are doing a good job.
They're fantastic team.
Yes, keep on giving us the facts. All right. And then the last one is here. It says, good evening, nice show.
Thank you for your messages. In case you missed any part of the program, like I said, you can join us on Saturday, 11:30. But we are live on every Friday, 6:30 to 7:30. That's the facts of the week. Gentlemen, this week has been something. The past 2 days, things have been happening in the New Patriotic Party. And we want to wrap up today's show with what we call Video of the Week. Watch this.
Did a lot of things that got people really aggrieved. People were really bitter. The business community. My father is a typical example. The president was my father's lawyer in the 80s and in the 90s. So he has a close relationship with my father, Apostle Dr. Kojo Safo. He has a lot of businesses. One is our transport company. It was thriving. It was doing very well. Concentrating in the northern regions, Togo, Benin, everywhere. You know, we wake up one morning and to our utmost surprise, Honorable Henry Quarter brought a team of guys with bulldozers, whether they were, how do they call them? These macho guys, Langards or whatever. They didn't even give us notice to even park our computers. The land didn't belong to us. The land was government land. The land was being leased to us and we were paying. It was a land for the Sports Council. So at the time, Honorable Neil Ante van der Poel was the one that the general manager then entered into that agreement with, and we were paying, and that is where we're operating from. And a lot of people do that. Most of the terminals that you see don't belong to the transport companies. We lease them.
Right.
And we were doing everything, not that we stopped paying the lease. They said there was an order from above.
Former Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabenya, former Minister for Procurement, former Minister for Gender, Children, Social Protection, Sarah Adwoa-Safo. She is on a spree to tell the truth, as she says, to clear her name. But the party says you are in the public causing disaffection for party. So she's been referred to the disciplinary committee of the party. Doc, let me start this one for me.
Oh, Val. Well, you see, this particular issue, what is even intriguing for me is the fact that just on that same day, the NPP was out there more or less attacking government or running routes all over the place, that government was in fact gagging people from talking, speaking their mind and speaking truth to power and all that. You remember the issue about the Chief FIFA and all those guys, that the government was doing everything to gag people from speaking their mind. That same day, they issued a letter or a communique also gagging all their party members from speaking about the ills or whatever grievances you have. You should not talk. In fact, you shouldn't engage any media house and all that. How disingenuous can you be? And then the woman, in fact, this morning I learned she was even supposed to go
grant an interview.
Two media houses.
Yes.
She wakes up, gets ready, moves her car. Before she got out of the main building, some V8 had parked in front of the car that they will not allow her to move. Who does this? Who does this? And for me, like the songwriter said, I mean, for some of these things, it's good she's been referred to. Me, I like it that she's been referred to the disciplinary committee. I know that Adwoa-Safo, the Honorable Adwoa-Safo that we know, you cannot. In fact, there is no way you can gag her from speaking. And so I know she'll go, even if she will honor is another thing. But if she goes, I pray that she goes and then goes to speak her mind and tell them, because you clearly see that the family is aggrieved, is not happy. In fact, there's a lot going on there. So, like I said, it is their party matter. We hope that they are able to put some of these things together, firm up, so that they can give the NDC a good opposition and an incredible one at that in Parliament and all over the place.
Ivan.
I think listening to her for quite some time, I think in any serious country, she is a subject. She should be a person of interest in a criminal inquiry, because some of
the free
some of the revelations making borders on criminality, and she should be a person of interest to aid the police in investigating some of the things. You see, if you belong or stand on the other side of the political arena, you'll be happy because the bombs that she's throwing is a political capital that you can use, because and it also affirms the notion we had about President Akufo-Addo, that he was a tyrant. He is somebody who was committed to protecting criminals in his own government, because the things that she's saying affirms that. But my observation is that, why now? Why is she talking now? Because she had opportunity. Some of the issues at the time when he came, people pushed her to the wall to come and explain. She kept quiet over it.
She was not in the country, was she?
No, she was around. She was
she was campaigning.
Yes, she was. You see, she was campaigning. If you were a leader, I think integrity is key. Just imagine Adwoa-Safo won the primaries and subsequently went to Parliament. She wouldn't be here talking about it. So this is a disgruntled, emotional person who feel that she has been treated badly, and for that matter, she's on a rampage, spewing all the secrets. There are people who will cheer you, but for me, I will not see you as a serious character because you see, integrity matters, and you speak when it needed most. Some of the issues she's talking about borders on criminality, especially those that has to do with the school feeding, and she confirmed that some of the food they were feeding the kids
were not nutritious.
Exactly. And do you know how many kids who could have died out of that particular thing? But she kept quiet. Why now? So for me, I think that all that she's saying, the police should pick her up to help in whatever criminal inquiry they want to embark on, because you see, it's a crime against the state. And I heard from some of the tape regarding the development that went on in Parliament as to whether she was the one actually in the house or not. There are reports that she wasn't the one.
Yes, in one breath she says that she didn't want to vote for the e-levy, so she abstained. That's why she didn't go to vote. In another breath she said she was there, but she didn't vote.
Yes. So there is this whole sheer contradiction surrounding this thing. And you see, if it is true, or it is indeed true that she was not a person who was in Parliament that day to vote, it means that there was a criminal thing that happened in Parliament. Because if you are not an elected member of Parliament,
what are you doing?
You cannot go to Parliament and vote on a bill. That is criminal. So I think the Speaker of Parliament should also take a vested interest in this particular development, because Ghanaians want to know. Because I've been telling people, maybe see this whole governance thing, but for me, what is important is the kind of trust and confidence the general public repose in the political establishment. Whenever you see government fall, whenever that trust that is enlisted is withdrawn, that is how you see the whole government coming down. We need to do everything to sustain that public trust and confidence, and with some of these things, the trust will be gone. So I think that we need to proceed on this particular matter, take it quite serious. And all the things she's saying, we need to go through them. And those that border on criminality, we need to do some kind of criminal inquisition to ascertain the fact and see if we can proceed to court or whatever. But if we continue to treat it like, oh, it's normal, an emotionally disgruntled individual who is on a spree of destroying her own party, and we leave it like that, trust me, people will not take us serious.
That's a youth activist and also social commentator, Ivan J. Innocent. My other guest, Dr. Desmond Kofi Annan, broadcast journalist. My name is Valentina Ofori Afriyie. I'm your host. Join us same time next Friday, 6:30, 7:30, Facts of the Week, supported by Fairnut Wood is live. Great furniture is made by Fairnut, and also by Aquaba Natural Mineral Water, quenching thirst and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, refreshing Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. If you missed greater part of the show, don't worry. We are on your screen. Ghana's #1 CTV, Saturday. There's a repeat, 11:30 a.m. Good night.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernat Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernat, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernat Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966 085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernat.